can only imagine what it will be like.
So once again, good morning, Kirk. It's good to be here this first Sunday of a new year, last Sunday of the season of Christmas. On Epiphany Sunday, we listened to the story of the wise folks from the East who come to visit Jesus, as well as this passage from the 60th chapter of Isaiah. I invite you to open your hearts and your minds to this reading from the Word of God. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But the Lord will arise upon you, and his glory will appear over you. Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Lift up your eyes and look around. They all gather together, they come to you. Your sons shall come from far away, and your daughters shall be carried on their nurses' arms. Then you shall see and be radiant. Your hearts shall thrill and rejoice, because the abundance of the sea shall be brought to you, and the wealth of nations shall come to you. A multitude of camels shall cover you, the young camels of Midian and Ephah. All those from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and frankincense, and shall proclaim the praise of the Lord. May God bless to us our reading and our understanding and applying of this word to how we live our lives. So today we are celebrating Epiphany. This is an ancient Christian observation dating at least as far back as the 4th century. It's meant to mark the arrival of the Magi, or those Eastern sages who came to visit Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. The actual feast day of Epiphany every year is January the 6th, which, if you count it all up, is also the 12th day of Christmas, that last day of golden ring, maids of milkin, French hen, turtle doves, pears and partridge fame, right? The season of Christmas comes to an end, its fulfillment, so to speak, on Epiphany. But why? Why Epiphany? Well, for one thing, Epiphany reminds us not to let this season of Christmas end when we take down the ornaments and the lights and store the greens all in the basement for another year. I mean, I went to Hen House, right, our grocery store, on December the 26th, the day after Christmas, and they already had the Valentine's Day candy and cards on the shelves. I mean, this world of ours, right, which seems in such a hurry to get out the red cups and the decor way back in October, right, turns the page rather quickly on Christmas, doesn't it? But even for those of us who like to linger, right, with the incredible thought of God incarnate, right, born of flesh and sinew and bone, one of us, even for those of us who try to linger, soon the new year comes. And the kids go back to school, and the work projects all pile up, and we get back to normal again. Epiphany tells us, wait, there's something important here that should inspire us, that we should try to carry with us all year long. This word epiphany is a Greek word from epi, which means on or upon, and phaneros, which means visible, apparent, or manifest. And so an epiphany is more like a light bulb moment or an aha moment, but also something revealed to you, something where light shines and makes something clear and manifest. And the Magi received the epiphany for all of us. They saw God made flesh. They saw salvation for all people. Lift up your eyes and look around, Isaiah tells the people who'd been defeated, exiled, forced to pay homage to other kings. To those people, Isaiah gives them a vision of kings coming to pay homage to them. Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Pretty gutsy words at the time, this prophecy of Isaiah. But there it is. A multitude of camels shall cover over you, which I guess was a good thing back then. The abundance of the sea brought to you. And of course, they shall bring gold and frankincense, and shall proclaim the praise of the Lord. if we didn't know this passage from Isaiah, we might be wondering about the suitability of gold, frankincense, and myrrh as gifts for a toddler, right? Where are the Tonka trucks and the age-appropriate books? If we didn't know this passage from Isaiah, we might shake our heads at the Magi and say under our breath, this is what you get when you send 3 clueless guys to buy presents for a baby. But we know Isaiah. And we hear the resonance of these words of hope throughout the years. And voila, words of comfort for people in exile are recognized in new and fresh ways. For people in Israel who grew up hearing Isaiah's promises, people who were living themselves under occupation conditions, this image of visitors from the East offering gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to the child Jesus must have been for them a great hope. It must have been an epiphany for them, helping them see Isaiah's prophecy with new eyes, with new clarity. Arise, shine, for your light has come. The glory of the Lord has risen upon you. And maybe that was the greatest gift that the Magi offered, right? Hope. Their very presence reminded the people of these long-held promises and invited them to see this world in new ways. Because surely the world looks different to you after you've stepped out on faith to follow a star and have discovered God at the end of the journey. Especially when the king of the Jews, that one that Herod was so afraid of, especially when that king turns out to be a toddler. I mean, the Epiphany was only the beginning of changes for the Magi, of course. Not all of those changes are easy. The epiphany of a child born as king in Bethlehem turns this world upside down and shook the palace in Jerusalem. The world responds when God breaks into the world, and it isn't always peaceful. All we have to do is read Matthew and dwell on the way that the powers of the world responds to this birth, to the way that he challenged even then those in positions of influence and control. Epiphany reminds us that our faith is not about safety. It's about God coming to us in ways that we could never have predicted on our own, but with God's amazing power. I mean, everything in this story is a bit crazy when you think about it. The Magi knew that this star was different, that this child was a king, and they followed this call and began a journey, but it needn't have been so. What if the Magi had said, you know, that star looks interesting, but it really isn't a good time for me to leave. I've got deadlines coming up, and the kids have soccer practice, and the camel's in the shop, and fuel is so expensive right now. What if they decided that it wasn't worth the effort to follow the star, saying, you know, it doesn't take much to see that the problems of 3 little people don't amount a much to a hill of beans in this crazy world? What if they saw the star and decided that, you know, the journey wasn't theirs to take because the king of the Jews is, well, for the Jews, not for Zoroastrian scholars or Persian diplomats or Indian astrologers or whoever they were? But that's not what happened. Arise, shine, your light has come. Isaiah's prophecy in this section, full of imperatives. It's full of exclamation marks. Arise, shine, lift up your eyes. I mean, Isaiah isn't inviting the hearers to join in, he's commanding it. It's a good reminder to us in the darkness of winter. We can't just sit around waiting for the darkness of our world to change. Isaiah's audience knew all about the darkness of the world. They knew all about the despair of exile. They knew what it was like to look around and say, you know, the problems are so big, what can one person say? And when I'm honest, that's exactly how I think about the problems of our day, too. Are you like that as well? We hate the fact that anti-Semitism and racism and gun violence is on the rise, but we don't know what we can do to stop it. We hate the fact that loved ones battle addiction and disease, but what can we do in the face of alcohol and cancer? We want to follow the star to see what God is doing in the world, but what difference can it make if we see it? But no matter, Isaiah calls us from despair to action with exclamation marks. Arise, shine, lift up your eyes. I love that Epiphany happens at the new year. I love that it's the capstone to Christmas. And I love this reminder from Isaiah to live with exclamation points. I'm reminded of Howard Thurman's now famous litany that he called Now the Work of Christmas Begins. It says, when the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and the princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among people, to make music in the heart. That's Howard Thurman. It's to live our lives with exclamation marks, chasing the star, not just today, but as a way of life. Not in a New Year's resolution sort of way either. There's value in seeing things differently and having an epiphany at the start of a new year. There is value in being reminded what we do individually can matter to all of us, corporately, collectively. If we arise, shine, it will shed light on those around us too. A few years ago, someone shared with me Shane Claiborne's New Year's resolutions. Shane is a Christian activist. He's a bit pointed, and not all of his points may be for you or for me, but they're fascinating. Here's his list of New Year's resolutions. There are 13 of them. Number 1, do for one person what I wish I could do for everyone, but can't. Number 2, practice resurrection. Make ugly things beautiful and bring dead things back to life. Paint a new mural in the neighborhood. Make some cool stuff out of trash. Look for God in unlikely places. Number 3, interrupt death. Do something regularly to interrupt the patterns of violence, bullying, war, capital punishment, and other mean and ugly things. Number 4, give more money away than I can keep. Give more money away than I keep. And do it in a way that takes away the power of money and celebrates the power of love. Number 5, write letters and notes to people, letting them know how thankful I am for them. Write a note of forgiveness from someone that I need to ask to forgive me. Number 6, do something really nice that no one sees or knows about. Number 7, compliment someone I have a hard time complimenting and mean it. That one's a hard one for me, I think. Number 8, pause before every potential crisis and ask, will it matter in 5 years? Number 9, get outdoors often and enjoy things like fireflies and shooting stars. Take someone to the beach or the mountains for their first time and regularly get my hands into the garden so that when I type on the computer, I can see dirt under my fingernails. Number 10, learn a skill like welding and use it for something redemptive like turning a machine gun into a farm tool. Number 11, rather than emphasizing the best of myself and finding the worst in others, let me work on the worst in myself and look for the best in others. Number 12, be aware and beware of blessings. Do something to abstain, fast, or delay gratification, and do something to indulge in a gift of God. Then do something to end inequality and to move the world towards God's dream for every person to have this day our daily bread. And number 13, believe in miracles and live in a way that might necessitate one. So I read these, and I can see in them something of Isaiah's exclamation point living. And because these type of resolutions are simple, they are the sort of things that you and I can actually do, right? And more so, they can have a far-reaching impact. And that's what light does. It doesn't just shine on us. Arise, shine, for your light has come. What the wise men recognized in the star was the confirmation of Isaiah's promise that God's light would shine on this world. And so they sought the light of the star. They testified to the light, and then they returned home by another way to share this light that they had seen. So one more thought as we think about this new year. As I said earlier, for the past 5 years, we've been handing out these stars on Epiphany. It's an invitation. It's a reminder to us that God's light shines in our lives. The stars have a word on them, as you know, and I don't know about you, but there are some years that my words fit really well, and some years they're a bit more like a little nudge, right, to remind me to try a little bit harder or to do just a little bit more. Since we started doing this, I've been particularly surprised, maybe, how meaningful this has been for some of us. I visited people's homes and have seen them taped to a mirror or to a computer monitor. Once I visited a church member who was dying and he had his star word in his bed. Now, maybe these star words don't mean that much to you, and that's fine. This isn't about guilt or judgment or about any of that. But we do this as an intentional Christian practice, right? A little thing to remind us every day of the light of Christ in our lives, or of the light that we can share with the world. So I invite you to consider how your word might speak to your life in this new year. Perhaps you could use it to lead your prayer life this year. Perhaps you could tape it to your refrigerator or your bathroom mirror, and when you see it, remember that you need to look up. Look to God and follow that star that's guiding you. Perhaps it can be your reminder that what you do with the light that has shined in your life does indeed matter. Because there are people in the world living in the shadows, and they need the light of love, of hope, and of peace more than ever. So, my friends, arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. May we, my dear friends, face this new year with the light of Christ, lifting up our eyes and seeing more than anxiety, more than heartache, more than darkness, but seeing the work of Jesus waiting to be done and our opportunity to rise to that occasion. May it be so. Amen.